Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, just Daf It. Today we're finishing the second parak, Daf Chof, number 20 in Maseches Nedarim. It's actually an average length Daf, uncharacteristic in Maseches Nedarim. Talking about some interesting concepts today about marital intimacy. By the way, I also give a share on marital intimacy. We're doing it a little later today, chapter 5. So it's related to this Daf. Interesting how it's related. The Mishnah says, Nadar Becherem takes a neder comparing a piece of meat, a piece of bread to a cherem. He explained himself. I meant cherem could also be a reference to a net of fishermen. The korban, he says, this piece is also like a korban. I was talking about korbanos, or gifts that are given, not necessarily actual animals that are sacrificed, gifts that are given to a king. Hari atzmi korban. I myself am a korban. Etzem is not me, it refers to a bone. My wife, I'm not going to get hana from, which would technically be a nether. And he says, no, I meant my wife, my ex, from my previous marriage that I divorced. You don't need hatara for those nedarim. Nedarim don't take effect. We'll see midarais, they don't take effect. Because, like we said, pirusha mahakel, even maybe in this Mishnah where there's a 75% chance that you probably meant korban. It's not going to be a suffix. Nonetheless, if you explain yourself, that's what you meant. We go after your explanation. If they did a Pesach and you try to mata this Nedarim, we'll see what this means, and that you punish them in your machmir, that's the opinion of Remeir. Come say you actually have to be Rabbanan, be mater nether in these cases. We teach them the reason we make them mater nedarim, even though midrash you don't have to be mater nedarim according to everybody, is we don't want people to be lax in making nedarim. The Gemara says haguva kasha. The Mishnah itself is a question. Amar ein nishal lahen. It says you don't need to be mater neder. Hadar tani nishlu onshan osamachmir lahen. Then it says if they actually were mater neder, say you punish them in your machmir. If you don't need to be mater neder, why are you punishing them? Amar Yehuda hachigasani. This is what it means to say all these examples in our Mishnah. You don't have to mater neder. Medra amurim talmid chacham. Our Mishnah was talking about talmid chacham, someone who spends his time learning Torah. About amaretz shabali shal. He comes, he doesn't know any of the relevant laws. Then you punish him. What way do you punish him? You have to be mater neder. One of the two ways you mater neder, one is a pesach, meaning a person says, if I would have known something while I was making the neder, I wouldn't have undertaken the neder upon myself. And this charata, which we'll see, is a way of annulling a neder, where you regret making the neder, even if there's no lack of knowledge, you just regret making the neder. That also works. So we don't use charata to matin in their ocean. Heichi dami. What does it mean to punish him? In the sanya, like we learned elsewhere in our brayse, mishnazar avral nazirusa. Someone took a nazirus and he violated his nazirus. He drank wine in the time of the mason. And his kakin right? We don't matter his nazirus. Technically, you can matter nazirus just like any neder, right? If he was very lax with his Naziris, on the second day, or he's drinking wine, and he did that for 30 days, so therefore, he has to take a Naziris before a matter his Naziris, the days that he violated his Naziris, has to make up for Naziris. That's the opinion of Yehuda. It's only talking about a small Naziris, 30 days Naziris. Naziris Maruba, Dayosh Loshim Yom. If he violated Naziris for a year, let's say, and it was Naziris for 7 years, and he violated for a year, we only make him make up 30 days. I'm Rabbi Yosef Hova, I'm Rabban, and it's Kakinlo. Once Chazal said that we don't matir his Naziris until he makes up what he violated, based on a basin that violates this takana of the Rabban and his matir his Naziris without making him make it up, they didn't do something good. We actually put this based in a nidoy. They did something really bad. Chum said, argue on in the Mishnah, they actually have to be matir. The Gemara digresses for a little bit, digresses for a lot over here. The Brayse says a person shouldn't make a darim often. If you're rug on a darim, then you're going to come to something far worse, which is to make shvuos, where Gemara said before, lo yinaket, right? You shouldn't spend a lot of time near Am Haaretz. So if you spend a lot of time by his house, he's going to end up feeding you, grain which he didn't take Shunas Maish off of. Aldi Ragil Eitzel Kohen Am Haaretz. You shouldn't spend your time by a Kohen who's an Nedarim. Truma. He's going to give you truma. He's not going to realize. He's not going to know. He doesn't care, and I'll give you truma. You shouldn't endlessly chatter with a woman. You shouldn't flirt with a woman. If you flirt with too many women, eventually you come to adultery if you're married. Anyone who gazes at women, stares at them more than maybe he should. Sofa Bali the Avera is going to come to an Avera. They'll come to Stakel. What Avera doesn't say. Maybe immorality. He'll cheat on his wife. Anyone who stares at the heel of a woman, heavy low banim she'em lo ganim, is going to have children that are not going to be following in the right path. They're going to be difficult children. Rav Yosef Ishta Nida. Rav Yosef says the Gemara here is Daf It talking about staring at the heel of your wife when your wife, when she's a Nida. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish Akeva the Kazani. Don't think it means the heel on her heels. Right? She's wearing high heels. Don't think at the heels. The Kazani I give talking about staring at her erva, her private, her genitals. That is the reference to the Gemara. Shemachuvin connected to Akev, right? Which, if you take the heel of the woman up, I guess her body, you get to that place. Tanya, Bavur Tia Yerasal Pnecham Zu Busha. Levilti Tekatau, as Pasuk says in the Torah, in order that the Yira of Hashem should be on your faces, in order that you shouldn't sin. This is busha, embarrassment. Malame Shabusha Mavila de Yiraschet. Someone is embarrassed. Presumably we're talking about being embarrassed about this topic. Embarrassed about talking about these things. I guess I don't have busha. Shabusha Mavila de Yiraschet. If you have embarrassed, you're embarrassed to talk about these things. So you'll have fear of sin. It's a good thing for a person to be embarrassed about these things. If you are embarrassed about these things, you're not going to sin very quickly. Someone who doesn't have boshes upon him, like me, my ancestors didn't stand on Har Sinai. It's powerful stuff. I'm giving a share about marital intimacy over here. I don't have so much busha about this. So does that mean my parents didn't stand on Har Sinai? I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments below. But I'm not going to talk about Har Sinai now because I don't want to say anything crazy. But there is a way out for me. I am justified. Listen, I'll tell you the truth. People are embarrassed about speaking about this. It means that they're uncomfortable in this area. They're uncomfortable talking about this thing. They're uncomfortable. They're married. They're uncomfortable with their wives. They have an uncomfortable relationship with their wives. If they're not married, they have an uncomfortable relationship with an awkward around women. People are comfortable talking about this, are not uncomfortable and not awkward around women. Definitely not around their wives. That's just the way it is. So listen, before you're married, before you're married, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe to avoid this and to be embarrassed about it. So you shouldn't be flirting with women all the time, spending your nights with women all the time. You should get married, do it in a practical way that you're not going to end up having children with people that you're not married to. Not a good thing. Doesn't help out your life. So the Gemara is really talking about people that are not married. People that are married should not be awkward with these things, and you should have a normal relationship with your wife, and you should be comfortable around women. It's very hard to get to that level, but that's just the way it is. All right, the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yochanan ben Nahava. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nahava said, Dal Dvarim Sachli Malachei Hasharis. The Malachei Hasharis, the Malachim talked to him. They said him four things. Chigar and Mimah children that are born lame. It's hard for them to walk. They're handicapped. What's the reason people have children? Again, because when they're in bed with their wives, they flip around their wives. We see in the Gemara, on Amud Beis, the Gemara says the women, arakti lo ashulchan, they set the table, meaning they lie down in the normal position for intimacy. And hofkan shulchanam, meaning the husbands turn them around. There's three explanations. What does it mean, hofkan shulchanam? The simple explanation is they turn them around and they have anal intercourse with their wives. There's two other explanations about this. I'll just give it to you because it's interesting. One explanation is, for those people who know doggy style is, even though they penetrate from the front, that would be hofed shulchan. The other explanation is the woman is on top of the man. So keep in mind these three explanations. According to Malach Yashar, these are very bad. Ilmim nema havyan, people that can't talk, they're mute. What do they? Why do you have children like that? Because they kiss their private parts of their wives. Charashim nema havyan, people who can't hear. Why does that occur? They talk while they're engaged in marital intimacy. We'll see in the Gemara on Beis exactly when you can talk, when you can't talk. Sumin nema havyan. Blind kids. Why do people have blind kids? Because they look at their wife's private part, their genitals of their wives. So this seems to be the halacha, and this is the Malach Yashar is told Rabbi Yochanan ben Dahavai this. We'll see if this is the halacha in a second. Raminhu, the Gemara asked the question from Rabbi Shal is Ima Shalom. They asked Ima Shalom, who was a big rebbitzin, the wife of Lezer Agadol. Mivneva banecha yififin. Why are your children? Why are the children so beautiful? Biyoser. Why do you have such beautiful children? Amalahen eni misaber imila b'tchilas halayla b'sof halayla. I don't cohabit. Misaber is a euphemism for having intercourse with her husband. He doesn't do it at the beginning of the night, v'lo b'sof halayla, and not at the end of the night. Ela b'chatzas halayla. A lot of people are machbid. This is brought down in the postgame to dafka be together on Friday night with your wife at exactly chatzotz. You have to take out your calendar and figure exactly what chatzotz is. Often leads to problems in marriages because people are dead tired on Friday night. They want to go to sleep. I don't know, wait till chatzotz, especially now that the Friday nights are earlier. When he's together with me, he covers a tevach. For years, I didn't understand what this means exactly. There's different explanations the post can give, but after I got married, I realized what this was, because when I got married, I was working on Precious. I was still working on Precious. If you were with me with the real me, I told you about my personal journey from being Gadol Hador to being a normal person. So, I actually figured out what it is. Actually, when you're involved with your wife in the bedroom, you close your eyes for a second, and then you open your eyes, close your eyes, and open your eyes. It definitely takes away the taiva. It takes away the desire if you're closing your eyes. Shade, it should be like you're forced. You should feel like a shade, a demon is forcing you to do this terrible act that Christianity says is so terrible, and Judaism, like Christianity, says is also terrible. Is that true? Check out chapter 3 of, I think it was chapter 3 of The Living Marriage, where I talked about the difference in Judaism and Christianity. Sounds to the Gemara, it's a bad thing, terrible thing to, how do you have beautiful children? You should not enjoy, you should try to enjoy the intercourse as little as possible. Amarti lo, this wife said to him, Matam, why are you doing this? Why are you mitigating your hana so much? I'm doing this for a reason. Like the Gemara says, technically there's nothing wrong with enjoying, you should enjoy. However, he was on the level of Precious, where he wanted to desist from hana in this world, from enjoying this world as much as possible, because if it would run rampant, he would maybe go and court other women, and he would cheat on his wife. I would have mamzera, my children mamzeras, because presumably I would commit adultery with other married women, and mamzera them. So anyway, you see from the language she used, misaper, is to talk. Obviously, the reason you use language to talk, even though it refers to intercourse, they would talk during their intercourse. You see, you can't talk. If you're talking about things about what you're doing, either practically, what you like, what you want, requests, the wife to the husband, husband to the wife, that's okay. Or you're even, talking maybe in a way will excite both of you. I think that's included over there. Talk about, politics. That is maybe not a good idea. Amar Yochanan, it distracts from the enjoyment. Amar Yochanan, Zu Divrei Yochanan made the Havai. This is very important. Rabbi Yochanan says over here. These are the words Yochanan made the Havai. Amru Chachamim. I'm saying is that we paskin presumably. Ein halacha ki Yochanan made the Havai. The halacha, and we do paskin. The halacha is not like Yochanan made the Havai. He quoted from the Malach Hasharis. We'll see what these Malach Hasharis are in a second. El Kol Ma She'adam Rotze La'aseh B'Ishto Oseh. He can do any of those four things that were terrible, that produced children with major physical blemishes. The halacha is not like that. Whatever you want to do with your wife, Oseh Mashal Labasar Abam Beis HaTavach. You get fresh meat from the butcher. Rotze La'achlo B'Melech. You want to cook it with salt, ochlo, sli ochlo. You want to roast it on open fire. You eat it. Vushal ochlo. You want to cook it. Shalok ochlo. You want to soak it in water. You could eat it like that. You get a fish from the fish store. You could eat it any way you want. Similarly, this is an enjoyment. A wife is supposed to be enjoyed by the husband. Maybe the husband is supposed to be enjoyed by the wife. We'll talk more about that in the living marriage. I keep on getting promotions for my wonderful lecture series, because it really is a wonderful lecture series. Amar Meimar Man Malachi Asharis. Who are these Malachi Asharis that we find Allah is not like them? Rabbanan, it's the rabbis. The Itema Malachi Asharis Mamish. If you say it's really Malachim. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Ein Allah Yochanan David. Would Yochanan say Allah is not like Yochanan Dahabai? Ha Inu B'Ki B'Suras Hablatay. They're really Malachim that have supernatural knowledge, right? They know very well. You can't say that what they say is irrelevant, because they know what causes children to come out with certain physical blemishes. So, therefore, it must be Malach Hasharis are the rabbis. Why I call rabbis Malach Hasharis, I'm Malach Hasharis. They're mitzuyanim. They're excellent. They're tzaddikim, like Malach Hashar. Malach Hasharis only do good. They only do good also. He asked the Kamei Rabbi Amr Lo. It's very important to know that Allah is not like the Rabbanan over here. I'll explain more in Yud Ben Sion to what extent Allah is not like the Rabbanan, and practically some huge ramifications of Allah come out like this. And I think this Gemara is one of the few Gemaras that talk directly about marital intimacy, what's allowed in the bedroom, what's not allowed in the bedroom. This is maybe one of the most famous Gemaras that talk about it. And perforce, I will be talking about Yud Ben Sion to discuss exactly why the halacha is not like the Rabbanan, and to what extent the halacha is not like the Rabbanan. Haida asked the Kamei the Rebbe. She came in front of Rebbe. Amar lo Rebbe, arachti lo shulchan. I set up the table for him nicely. I mean, I was laying on my back. I was ready for the missionary position. Hafcho, and he turned me over, either doggy style or you went in anally. Amar la biti Torah tiraska. The Torah permitted you. The Torah permitted you to be consumed, to be enjoyed in any way the husband wants to enjoy you. Even the rabbi agreed. He asked the Kamei the Rav. He came in front of Rav, the good old door. Amar lo Rebbe, arachti shulchan v'havcho. He flipped me over. Amar my shnam benisa. You're no different than a fish. He wants to eat the fish when he has a piece of salmon. He can eat the salmon from the top, or he can eat the skin on the bottom if he so desires. Lo sasurach elo avkam. Gemara Darshans, what does it mean? There's a pasuk in Kriyash. Mikana Amar Rebbe, al yishte adam kozev itan ena b'kosacher. Not like what people think that you're not supposed to. Asasurach elo avkam. You're not allowed to look at erva. I've talked more about this. Hilchos Kriyash and Shulchan Aruch Yomi. Maybe there's no issue to look at erva, but this Gemara clearly says it's not looking at erva. It's talking about when you're together with your wife, you shouldn't be thinking of another woman. Amar Ravino, the Chiddush is, even if you're married to two women, you shouldn't be thinking about another wife. Because if you think of another wife, it's distracting, it's incongruent, right? You're thinking of another woman, and physically you're with a different woman. There's an incongruence here that's going to ruin your enjoyment. Hashem will separate from Klal Yisrael the people that rebel, the people that sin willfully against Him. These are children that come. Who are these rebellious children? They come from 9 forbidden relationships. Bnei Asas Mashkach. What does that stand for? Bnei Ema. The husband imposes extreme fear on his wife. This is very common in the Haredi world. Husbands are too medactic in halacha. Women are afraid of their husbands. They don't do anything wrong in their husbands. I've heard firsthand accounts of women who are afraid. Literally, their husband walks into the house, they're afraid of them. The Gemara says in Shabbos that it's a terrible thing for a husband to matal ema yisera on his house. Bnei Anusa, if he forces on his wife, he rapes his wife. Bnei Snua, if he hates his wife and nonetheless is together with him. Bnei Nidoi, either he's in excommunication or she's in excommunication, not supposed to be together. Bnei Tmura, you exchange a woman for somebody else, meaning you thought a woman was one woman and she turned out to be somebody else. I'm talking about you have 2 wives, of course. Not that you're not that you're flipping wives. B'nei Mariva, you're in a fight with your wife. B'nei Shichras, you're intoxicated. B'nei Grushas Halev, you intended on divorcing her. Before I divorce her, I'll get one more out of her. B'nei Arvuvia, if you're confused about, um, you're confused about, I don't know exactly what this means. What did Rashi say? B'nei Arvuvia. Shabal Isha Achas bin Anasha Nedu Alizem Henba. He has a number of women lined up for him. He doesn't know which one was which. He's not clear which one he's together with. Very strange. They have so many women in their lives. Bnei Chatzufa. Bnei Chatzufa means the children of a wife who is brazen. We'll see what this means in a second. She's not supposed to directly ask the husband to have to be together with. Any is true. In an instance where a wife demands that her husband be together with her, they'll be so great, even greater than the people in the generation of Moshe Rabbeinu. How do you know that? It says Yisro recommended to Moshe, you should find to adjudicate cases. You shouldn't be judging all the cases. Find people that are smart and wise. Nonetheless, Moshe searched for these wise judges, these smart judges. He only found important people, not people that were so wise. It doesn't say Nevonim. However, Yisachar, who is a product of Leah going out, she goes out to Yaakov and tells him, tonight you're sleeping with me. I gave my dudaim to Rachel. I exchanged for sleep with you. Yisachar, the children of Yisachar, Yodei Bina, Leitim, they knew how to make calculations of the month. They were very wise, right? They had a lot of insight. So you see, it is a good thing. They have great children. Even though a woman is allowed to demand, she shouldn't do it in a direct way. She should just try to hint to her husband that she wants to be together with him. If you're a good husband, hopefully you'll pick up on those cues. She's not supposed to directly demand be together with me, because it's not woman-like, it's not ladylike to demand such a thing like that. It doesn't make you attractive to your husband. To hint it does make you attractive. If you're good at hinting, even more attractive than someone who is despondent and won't open their mouths. That's the conclusion. And that's the conclusion of the second parak. Hope you enjoyed today's share. You're not going to want to miss this Iyam Ben Sion, where I talk halacha l'maisa about some of the practical halachas that were discussed in today's daf. I'm not bringing the Shulchan Aruch, but I'm going to tell you basically what the Gemara says and what the Rishonim seem to say over here, and discuss what I think is the correct explanation, what I think maybe needs further understanding. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.